I was standing over my ex-husband's hospital bed, scalpel in hand, looking at the man who'd destroyed me 6 years ago. His eyes met mine. Recognition. Then terror. Then something that looked like regret. "Dr. Clark," he whispered. "Madison, I didn't know you were—" "I'm the trauma surgeon on duty tonight, Mr. Thompson. You have multiple fractures and internal bleeding. We need to operate immediately." His face went white, not from pain, from understanding. His life was now in the hands of the woman he'd betrayed with her own stepsister. My name is Madison Clark. I'm 35 years old, and this is the story of how I turned the worst betrayal of my life into the greatest revenge by becoming the only person who could save him. But let me take you back to the night that broke me and rebuilt me into someone completely different. 6 years ago, I was Madison Thompson, not a doctor, just a woman married to a man named Scott. We'd been together since college, 8 years of marriage, planning for kids, building a life. I thought I knew him. Thought I knew my stepsister Emily, too. Emily had come to live with us after her mother, my stepmother, passed away. She was 23, lost, grieving. I wanted to help her. "She can stay in the guest room until she gets back on her feet," I'd told Scott. "Family takes care of family." He'd agreed, seemed supportive, seemed kind. I worked long hours as a hospital administrator. Boring work, but it paid well. Scott was between jobs. "Just until I find the right opportunity," he'd say. Emily started staying home during the day, with Scott, while I worked. I should have seen it. The signs were all there. The way they'd stop talking when I entered a room. The inside jokes I didn't understand. The times I'd come home and find them sitting just a little too close on the couch. But I trusted them. Both of them. Family. Husband. Trust. The night I found out, I wasn't even supposed to be home. I'd left work early. Stomach bug. Wanted to just crawl into bed and sleep. I opened my bedroom door. They were there. In my bed. My husband and my stepsister. Emily screamed, scrambled for covers. Scott froze, his face a mask of guilt and panic. I stood there, couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was seeing. "Madison," Scott started. I closed the door, walked to the guest room, packed a bag. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip it. Scott followed me, pulling on clothes. "Madison, please, let me explain." "How long?" My voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. "What?" "How long have you been sleeping with my sister?" "Madison, it's not what you think." "How long?" He couldn't meet my eyes. 3 years. 3 years. 3 years of lying, of betrayal, of both of them looking me in the face every day while carrying on behind my back. "Madison, I love you, but I also love her, and it just happened. Stop. Just stop talking." Emily appeared in the doorway, crying. "Madison, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean for it to happen." "Get out of my sight, both of you." I left that night, went to a hotel, lay in a strange bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like my entire life had been a lie. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I called my oldest friend, Sarah, who was a divorce attorney. "I need a lawyer, and I need to disappear." "Madison, what happened?" I told her everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Where are you right now?" "Hotel. I can't go back there. I can't see them." "You don't have to. I'll handle everything. File the papers, handle the house, get you out clean." "But Madison, what are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." But I did know. Somewhere in the long, sleepless night, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to fall apart, wasn't going to beg him to stay, wasn't going to compete with my stepsister for a man who'd chosen to betray me. I was going to disappear, completely. And when I came back, if I came back, I'd be someone neither of them would recognize. "Sarah, remember how I always talked about going to medical school?" "Yeah, but you said it was too late, too expensive." It's not too late. I'm 30. I have my bachelor's degree. I have savings, and I have nothing tying me here anymore. You're going to medical school? Now? I'm going to become a doctor, emergency medicine. I'm going to save lives. I'm going to be so successful that when they hear my name, they'll realize exactly what they lost. That's a long road, Madison. 6 years minimum. Medical school, residency. It's brutal. Good. I want brutal. I want to be too busy to think about them, too focused to hurt, too driven to care. Okay, let's do this. I'll file the papers. You start looking at medical schools. Madison? Yeah? He's going to regret this. They both will. I know. But by the time they do, I'll be too far ahead to care. 2 weeks later, I signed divorce papers. Scott tried to fight it, tried to get half of everything, but I documented his unemployment, his adultery, everything. I walked away with my savings intact. And I walked away from everything else, the house, the furniture, the life we'd built. Let them have it. Let them live in the home where they'd betrayed me. I was building something new. I applied to medical schools, wrote essays about wanting to help people, about finding purpose in service. All true. But the deeper truth, the one I didn't write, was that I needed to become someone so accomplished that the girl who'd been betrayed would be unrecognizable. I got accepted to Columbia, New York City, far from home, far from memories, far from them. I moved with 2 suitcases, started over completely. New city, new career, new life. Medical school was hell. Everyone said it would be. They were right. The hours were insane, the workload crushing, the competition fierce, the stress constant. And I loved every minute of it. Because when I was studying anatomy at 2 a.m., I wasn't thinking about Scott. When I was practicing sutures, I wasn't seeing Emily's face. When I was exhausted and overwhelmed, I was too tired to hurt. I threw myself into it, top of my class, every exam, every rotation, every evaluation. My classmates went out drinking, dated, had lives. I studied, I worked. I became excellent. Madison, you need to slow down, my roommate said. You're going to burn out. I don't burn out, I burn forward. Emergency medicine became my specialty. Fast-paced, high stakes, life or death decisions in seconds. Perfect for someone who needed to focus on something bigger than her own pain. Residency was even harder. 36-hour shifts, trauma after trauma, blood, death, chaos. I thrived in it. Because in the ER, there's no time for personal drama. There's only the patient, the wound, the treatment, the save. 6 years. 6 years of brutal work, 6 years of transformation. And then came the night that changed everything, the night Scott was wheeled into my ER. It was a Tuesday night, 11 p.m. The ER was chaos, as usual. I'd been on shift for 8 hours, had treated a stabbing victim, a heart attack, a kid who'd fallen off his bike, and a woman in anaphylactic shock. Just another night at Columbia Presbyterian. I was finishing notes when I heard the ambulance siren. Our paramedic radio crackled. Incoming, male, approximately 36, motor vehicle accident, multiple fractures, possible internal bleeding, ETA 2 minutes. I've got it, I told the nurse, grabbed a trauma gown, headed to the bay. The ambulance doors burst open. Paramedics rushed the gurney through. The patient was conscious, moaning, face covered in blood. What have we got? I asked, falling into step beside the gurney. Scott Thompson, 36, T-boned by a drunk driver, fractured ribs, possible pneumothorax, BP dropping. Scott Thompson. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't waver. But something inside me went very still. We wheeled him into the trauma bay, bright lights. I looked at his face for the first time. It was him, older, heavier, lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before, but unmistakably him. Scott, my ex-husband, the man who'd destroyed my life 6 years ago. And he was dying. His eyes opened, focused on me with difficulty. I saw the moment recognition hit. Madison? His voice was weak, shocked. Oh God, Madison, is that really you? I snapped on gloves, professional, detached. I'm Dr. Clark. I'm the attending physician. You've been in an accident. We need to assess your injuries. You're a doctor? You're a doctor? Nurse, start a second IV. Get me a chest x-ray stat. And page surgery. We might need an OR. I moved around him, checking pupils, listening to his breathing, palpating his abdomen, noting the rigid quality that suggested internal bleeding. Madison, I can't believe... Mr. Thompson, I need you to tell me where it hurts most. My chest. I can't. It's hard to breathe. I listened to his lungs. Diminished sounds on the left side. Likely pneumothorax. We need to insert a chest tube. Madison, please. Mr. Thompson, I need you to focus. Do you have any medical conditions I should know about? Allergies? Current medications? He stared at me, not answering my questions, just staring like he'd seen a ghost. Maybe he had. The Madison he'd known had been soft, uncertain, easy to deceive. This Madison wore a white coat and held his life in her hands. Answer the question, please. No medical conditions. Madison, I need to tell you, history of the accident? The paramedic answered. Witness says he had the green light. Drunk driver ran the red at about 50 miles per hour. T-boned the driver's side. Okay, let's get that chest tube in. Prep a tray. Scott's eyes were filling with tears. Not from pain, from something else. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Madison, I'm so sorry. For everything. I was such an idiot, the biggest mistake of my life. Nurse, 2% lidocaine. We're going to numb the site. Madison, please, just listen. I looked at him then. Really looked at him. And I let him see nothing in my eyes. No anger, no hurt, no recognition of our history, just professional assessment. Mr. Thompson, I understand you're frightened, but I need you to remain calm. I'm going to insert a tube between your ribs to re-expand your lung. It will hurt, but it will help you breathe. You're not even going to acknowledge. What I'm acknowledging is that you have multiple life-threatening injuries. We can discuss personal matters if you survive the next few hours. If, not when, if. His face went pale. I inserted the chest tube. He screamed. I didn't flinch. When it was done, his breathing improved immediately. Better? He nodded, gasping. Good. X-ray will be here in a moment. Then we'll know the extent of internal injuries. The X-ray tech wheeled in her machine. I stepped out, watching through the window. My hands were steady. My heart rate was normal. I felt nothing. Or maybe I felt everything and had just gotten very good at compartmentalizing. One of my colleagues, Dr. James, approached. Hey, you okay? You look intense. Do you know that patient? Old friend, very old friend. Want me to take over? No, I've got this. Madison, if there's history, there is, and I'm still the best person to treat him. Trust me. He studied my face. Okay, but if you need backup, I'll let you know. The X-ray finished. I went back in, studied the films. 3 broken ribs, fractured femur, and yes, internal bleeding. His spleen was likely ruptured. Mr. Thompson, you need surgery, immediately. We'll need to remove your spleen and repair the femur. Am I going to die? I looked at him. This man who'd shared my bed for 8 years, who'd promised to love me forever, who'd betrayed me in the cruelest way possible. Not if I can help it. You're going to operate on me? You? I'm the trauma surgeon on duty, so yes, unless you'd prefer to wait for someone else and risk bleeding out in the next 20 minutes. He closed his eyes. No, I trust you. You shouldn't. You never could before. The words were out before I could stop them. Cold, cutting, true. His eyes opened, filled with pain that had nothing to do with his injuries. I deserved that. You deserved a lot worse, but lucky for you, I took an oath. I'll save your life tonight, Scott, not because you deserve it, but because that's who I am now. I walked out to scrub for surgery. My hands were still steady, my heart was still calm, and somewhere deep inside, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just closure. He was broken, literally and figuratively, and I was the only one who could fix him. The universe had a twisted sense of irony. The OR was cold, sterile, perfect. I stood at the sink, scrubbing my hands, watching Scott being prepped through the window. He looked small on that table, vulnerable, nothing like the man who'd loomed so large in my nightmares for years. "Dr. Clark, ready when you are," the anesthesiologist said through the intercom. 2 minutes. I finished scrubbing, held my hands up, let the nurse glove me, gowned me, stepped into the OR like I'd done hundreds of times before. But this time was different. This time, the person on the table had a history with me, a painful, complicated history. "Vitals?" I asked. "BP 90/60, heart rate 110. He's stable, but not great." "Let's keep him that way. Scalpel." The nurse placed the instrument in my hand. I positioned it over Scott's abdomen. 1 cut. That's all it would take to open him up, to literally hold his life in my hands. I made the incision. Clean, precise, professional. Blood welled up. I suctioned it away. Began the careful work of finding the source of the bleeding. "Spleen is definitely ruptured," I said. "We'll need to remove it. Cauterize these bleeders here." My hands moved automatically. Years of training, thousands of hours of practice. This was what I'd become, a machine of precision and control. But my mind wandered, back to 6 years ago, to the broken woman who'd left Scott and Emily behind. That woman would never have imagined this moment, standing over the man who'd destroyed her, saving his life. "Doctor, his BP is dropping," the anesthesiologist warned. I refocused immediately. More fluids, and prepped 2 units of blood. He's bleeding faster than I thought. I worked faster, found the bleeder, clamped it, sutured it. "BP stabilizing." "Good. Let's get this spleen out before it causes more problems." 30 minutes into surgery, the door opened. Dr. James poked his head in. "How's it going?" "Fine. Why?" "Just checking. There's a woman outside asking about him. Says she's his wife." My hands didn't pause. "Tell her he's in surgery. She can wait in the family area." "Will do." His wife, of course. Emily. She'd gotten what she wanted, married him, lived in my house, built a life on the ruins of mine. And now she was waiting to see if I'd save him. The irony was almost poetic. "Spleen is out," I announced. "Now let's fix that femur." The orthopedic resident joined us. Together, we set the bone, pinned it, ensured it would heal correctly. 2 hours. 2 hours of intense work. 2 hours of holding Scott Thompson's life in my hands. "Closing," I finally said. "He did well. He'll make it." "Nice work, Dr. Clark," the resident said. "That splenectomy was textbook." "Thank you. Make sure he's monitored closely overnight. I want to know immediately if there are any complications." I stripped off my gloves, my gown, walked to the sink to wash up. In the mirror, I looked at myself. Dr. Madison Clark, trauma surgeon, lifesaver. Not Madison Thompson, not the betrayed wife, not the broken woman. I'd done it, become someone else entirely, someone better. And Scott had just seen that transformation firsthand, from his hospital bed, then from my operating table. I wondered what he was thinking, if he was thinking. He'd be unconscious for hours yet. I headed to the family waiting area. Time to tell Emily her husband would survive. She was pacing, still beautiful, still young, only 29 now, still the woman who'd stolen my husband. She saw me, froze. Her face went white. "Madison?" "Mrs. Thompson, your husband is out of surgery. The procedure went well. He's stable." You're a doctor?" "I'm the trauma surgeon who just saved your husband's life. You're welcome." Her mouth opened and closed. No words came out. "He had a ruptured spleen and a fractured femur. We removed the spleen and set the bone. He'll need several weeks of recovery. but he'll survive. Can I see him? He's in recovery. Once he's stable, he'll be moved to the ICU. You can see him then. Madison, I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything. This isn't about us, Emily. This is about a patient who needed emergency surgery. I did my job. That's all. But you're a doctor, a surgeon. You were a hospital administrator. I went to medical school, worked my ass off for 6 years, became excellent at what I do. And tonight, that excellence saved your husband. She started crying. I'm so sorry. For everything. For what we did to you. Stop. I don't need your apology. I don't need your guilt. I don't need anything from you. But, Emily, listen carefully. What you and Scott did to me 6 years ago, it broke me. Completely broke me. And in that breaking, I became something stronger, someone better, someone who saves lives. So you're not angry? I was angry for a long time, but I channeled it, used it, let it fuel me through medical school, through residency, through every impossible shift and impossible case. And now? Now I'm just tired, and I have other patients to see. Your husband will be fine. A nurse will come get you when he's ready for visitors. I turned to walk away. Madison? I looked back. Thank you for saving him, even after everything. Thank you. I nodded once, then walked away, down the hall, to my office, closed the door, sat in my chair, in the dark, in the quiet. And finally, after 6 years of running from it, I felt it. Not anger, not satisfaction, not revenge, just peace. I'd done it. I'd faced my past, operated on it, saved it, sent it home. And I'd proven something to myself, something important. I was stronger than my trauma, bigger than my pain, better than my worst moment. Dr. Madison Clark had just performed the surgery of her life. Not the medical one, the emotional one. Cutting away the past, excising the pain, suturing the wound, and walking away whole. I was reviewing charts at the nurse's station when I got the page. Scott Thompson was awake in the ICU. I didn't have to go. He wasn't my responsibility anymore. Post-op care would be handled by the ICU team. But something made me walk down that hallway anyway. Maybe I needed to see his face when he was fully conscious, when he understood what had happened. The ICU was quiet, beeping monitors, hushed voices. I approached his bed. Scott's eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. Emily sat beside him, holding his hand. They both looked up when I entered. Dr. Clark, the nurse said, he's been asking for you. Vitals? All stable. Pain management is working well. No signs of infection. Good. I picked up his chart, scanned the numbers. Everything looked normal. How are you feeling, Mr. Thompson? Like I got hit by a truck, which I did. His voice was hoarse, tired, but his eyes were clear, sharp, taking me in. You saved my life. I did my job. Madison, it's Dr. Clark. In this hospital, I'm Dr. Clark. He flinched. Right, Dr. Clark. I need to say something. You need to rest. Your body has been through significant trauma. Please, just 5 minutes. I looked at my watch. You have 3. Emily stood. I'll give you privacy. Stay, I said. Whatever he needs to say, you should hear too. You're his wife. She sat back down, looked miserable. Scott took a breath, winced from the pain. I owe you an apology, a real one, not the half-assed attempts I made when you found us. You owe me nothing. That debt was settled 6 years ago when I signed divorce papers. I destroyed you, I know I did. And seeing you now, seeing what you've become, I realize exactly what I threw away. You threw away a marriage. I threw away dead weight. We both moved on. Did we? Because I haven't, not really. Every day for 6 years I've thought about what I did, how stupid I was, how much I hurt you. That sounds like your problem, not mine. Emily started crying, quiet tears streaming down her face. Scott continued, I need you to know it wasn't because you weren't enough. You were everything. I was just too immature to see it, too selfish, too... Stop. My voice was sharp, clinical. I don't need your confession, Mr. Thompson. I don't need to understand why you did what you did. I don't need closure. I got closure when I became a doctor, when I saved your life tonight, when I proved to myself that I'm better than what you did to me. You are. God, you are so much better. You're incredible, Madison. Dr. Clark. You're extraordinary. I know, and I didn't need you to tell me that. The 3 minutes were up. I turned to leave. Wait, Emily said. Her voice was small, broken. Can I ask you something? I looked at her, really looked at her. She'd aged, too, badly. Her beauty was still there, but strained, stressed, guilty. What? How did you forgive us? How did you move past it? I almost laughed. You think I forgave you? You saved his life. You were kind to him. I was professional. There's a difference. I saved his life because I'm a doctor, because that's what I do. Not because I forgive him, not because we're good now. So you still hate us? I considered that. Did I? After all these years, after all my success, did I still carry hate? No, I don't hate you. Hate requires energy, requires caring. I don't care about you anymore, either of you. You're just people I used to know, people who taught me an important lesson about who to trust. That's it? We're nothing to you? That's it. Scott spoke up. That's worse. Somehow that's so much worse than hate. Why? Because you want me to still be affected by you? Still be tied to you through anger or pain? Sorry to disappoint. I cut those ties 6 years ago. When you left? No. When I decided to become someone better. That's when I let you go. Tonight was just proof that I succeeded. I checked his monitors one last time. You'll be discharged in a few days. Follow up with your primary care physician. The orthopedic team will handle your fracture recovery. You'll need physical therapy. The nurse will give you all the paperwork. Will I see you again? Only if you're unlucky enough to have another medical emergency in my ER. Madison, Dr. Clark, thank you for everything. For being the bigger person. I wasn't being the bigger person. I was being a doctor. Don't confuse the two. I walked out, didn't look back, didn't need to. Behind me, I heard Emily sob, heard Scott try to comfort her, heard them both realize that the woman they'd betrayed was gone, completely, irretrievably, and in her place stood someone they'd never really known, someone they'd created through their cruelty. Dr. Madison Clark, trauma surgeon, lifesaver, survivor. I walked back to my office, sat at my desk, looked at the diploma on my wall. Columbia Medical School, top of my class. I'd earned that through pain and tears and endless nights of studying, through refusing to give up when everything hurt. That diploma represented more than a degree. It represented transformation. From victim to victor. From broken to brilliant. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. James. Patient in Bay 3, possible appendicitis. Your expertise needed. I stood, grabbed my white coat, headed back to the ER, back to work, back to purpose, back to the life I'd built from the ashes of the old one. Scott Thompson would recover, would go home with his wife, would live his life carrying the knowledge that he'd destroyed something precious, and I would continue saving lives, continue being extraordinary, continue proving that the best revenge isn't hurting people who hurt you. It's becoming someone they can never reach again. 3 days after the surgery, Emily showed up at my office. I was between shifts, exhausted, halfway through a protein bar that tasted like cardboard. I'd been awake for 22 hours. My secretary knocked. Dr. Clark, there's a woman here to see you. Says it's urgent. I'm not on call. Send her to the ER. She's not a patient. She says she's your sister. I stopped mid-bite. Tell her I'm busy. She's crying, says she'll wait as long as it takes. I closed my eyes, counted to 10. Fine, 5 minutes. Emily came in looking worse than before. No makeup, swollen eyes, trembling hands. Thank you for seeing me. I'm only seeing you because I'm too tired to argue. You have 5 minutes. Start talking. She sat, twisted her hands in her lap. Scott's being discharged tomorrow. He's going to be okay because of you. I know. I read his chart. We've been talking about everything, about that night, about the last 6 years, about you. How nice. Your time is down to 4 minutes. Our marriage is over. I'm filing for divorce. That got my attention. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know it's been miserable. Every day, every single day for 6 years, we've been drowning in guilt. Again, why are you telling me this? Because I need you to understand. What we did to you destroyed us too. We destroyed ourselves. I leaned back in my chair, studied her. She looked desperate, broken, seeking what? Absolution? Emily, let me make something very clear. I don't care if you're miserable. I don't care if your marriage is falling apart. I don't care if you've been carrying guilt. That's your burden, not mine. I know, but I need to explain. There's nothing to explain. You slept with my husband for 3 years, in my home, in my bed, while I worked to support all of us. The facts are simple. The explanation is irrelevant. It wasn't about you. It was never about you not being enough. Of course it wasn't about me. It was about you. Both of you, your selfishness, your betrayal, your inability to control yourselves. She flinched. You're right, we were selfish, cruel. I've hated myself every day since. Good, you should. After you left, we tried to make it work, thought maybe we'd been in love, thought maybe it was worth what we'd done. But it wasn't. We were never happy, never right together. Shocking. Relationships built on lies and betrayal don't work out? Who could have predicted? You were the glue, Madison. In some sick way, you were what made us feel alive. The sneaking around, the secret. Once you were gone and it was just us, there was nothing there. I felt something then. Not satisfaction exactly, but a grim vindication. So you destroyed my marriage for nothing. Yes, for absolutely nothing. We threw away something real, you and Scott, you and me as sisters, for something that was never real to begin with. I wasn't your sister. I was your stepsister, and clearly that meant nothing to you. It did. You took me in when Mom died. You were kind to me. You tried to help me, and I repaid you by sleeping with your husband. Yes, you did. And now you want, what? Forgiveness? I don't deserve forgiveness. I know that. I just wanted you to know that we've been punished, that karma exists, that we've suffered. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the New York skyline. Emily, here's the thing you don't understand. Your suffering doesn't make me feel better. Your guilt doesn't heal me. Your miserable marriage doesn't undo what you did. I know. I'm not finished. What heals me, what has healed me, is this. I gestured around my office. This degree, this career, this life I've built, saving lives, being excellent, becoming someone who matters. You've always mattered. Not to you, not to Scott. To you, I was convenient, a paycheck, a place to live, someone who wouldn't suspect, someone too trusting to see what was right in front of her face. Emily was crying again. I'm so sorry. I know you are. But here's the truth, Emily. Your apology means nothing to me, because I don't need it. I needed it 6 years ago when I found you in my bed. I needed it when I was crying in a hotel room wondering what I'd done wrong. I needed it when I was forcing myself through medical school, wondering if I'd ever feel whole again. And now? Now I'm whole. Completely, without your apology, without your guilt, without anything from you. So what happens now? Now, you go back to your life. You get your divorce. You figure out who you are without Scott and without me. And I go back to work. That's it? We just never speak again? We were never going to speak again, Emily. Tonight doesn't change that. What if I need you? What if something happens? Call 911. If you're lucky, you won't end up in my ER. It was harsh, cruel even, but it was honest. Emily stood, wiped her eyes. I understand. And Madison, I know it doesn't matter, but I am sorry, genuinely, deeply sorry. And I'm proud of you, of what you've become. You're extraordinary. I know. Now please leave. I have actual patients who need me. She walked to the door, paused. I won't bother you again, I promise. Good. She left. The door clicked shut behind her. I sat back down, finished my protein bar, pulled up patient charts for my next shift, and I felt nothing. Empty of anger, empty of hurt, empty of any emotion related to Emily Thompson. Just empty. Which was perfect, because empty meant she no longer took up space in my life, in my heart, in my thoughts. She was nothing. He was nothing. They were just ghosts I'd laid to rest. And I was Dr. Madison Clark, trauma surgeon, lifesaver, ready for my next patient, ready for my next save, ready for my life. A life they would never touch again. Scott Thompson was back in my ER 3 weeks after his discharge. I was reviewing lab results when the nurses' station lit up. Incoming from the clinic, Scott Thompson, post-surgical infection, fever of 103, unresponsive to oral antibiotics. Of course he'd come back. I grabbed his chart, read the notes from his follow-up appointments. He'd been complaining of pain, discharge from the surgical site, classic signs of infection that had been ignored or undertreated. When they wheeled him in, he looked terrible, pale, sweating, shaking. Mr. Thompson, welcome back. His eyes opened, focused on me with difficulty. Not you again. Afraid so. I'm still the trauma surgeon on duty. Looks like your surgical site is infected. We'll need to clean it out, possibly put you on IV antibiotics. Can someone else do it? Someone else could, but I'm better, and you know it. He closed his eyes. This is karma, isn't it? This is medicine. You have an infection. I treat infections. That's how hospitals work. I examined his abdomen. The surgical site was hot, red, swollen, definitely infected. We need to open this back up, clean out the infection. You'll need to be admitted. How did this happen? Did you follow post-operative care instructions? Keep the wound clean? Watch for signs of infection? Mostly isn't good enough. Surgical wounds require exact care. Any compromise in hygiene, any missed medication, and this happens. So it's my fault. It's a complication, happens sometimes. But yes, following instructions would have reduced the risk significantly. I ordered labs, cultures, IV antibiotics, prep for a minor surgical debridement. 2 hours later, we were back in the OR. Me, Scott, again. This is getting old, I said as I made the incision. Tell me about it, the anesthesiologist joked. I cleaned out the infected tissue, irrigated the wound, left it partially open to heal from the inside out. Textbook procedure. But as I worked, I thought about how surreal this was. Operating on him again, saving his life again, after he'd nearly destroyed mine. Dr. Clark, you okay? The resident asked. You're being really quiet. I'm fine, just focused. You know this patient? Unfortunately. After surgery, I went to update Emily. She was in the waiting room again, looking even worse than before. Mrs. Thompson, we're divorcing. I told you that. Right. Ms. Henderson, then. Your ex-husband, we're not divorced yet, still legally married. Your husband had a serious infection. I cleaned it out. He'll need to stay hospitalized for several days on IV antibiotics. He'll need close monitoring. Will he be okay? If he follows instructions this time, yes. Can I see him? Once he's awake. But Ms. Henderson, Emily, he needs better post-operative care. Someone needs to make sure he's taking medications, changing dressings properly. Can you do that? I don't know. We're barely speaking. I'm staying with a friend. I was just here because the hospital called me. Then he needs a home health nurse, because if he comes back a third time with another infection, he could die. Her face went white. He could die? Repeated infections compromise the immune system. Antibiotic resistance becomes an issue. Yes, he could die. Oh God, this is my fault. If we hadn't, you'd still be married to him. You'd be taking care of him properly. Don't make this about guilt. This is about medical compliance. He's a grown man. He needs to take responsibility for his own health. But I left him alone. I moved out. I wasn't there to help. Emily, stop. You're not his mother. You're not responsible for making sure he follows doctor's orders. That's on him. But I would have left him 6 years ago when I found out he was cheating. So no, I wouldn't have been there either. She sat down, put her head in her hands. Everything is such a mess. Yes, it is. But that's not my problem. I'm his doctor, not his wife, not his caretaker. I fix what's medically wrong. The rest is up to him. I left her there, went to check on other patients. But throughout the night, I kept thinking about Scott, about how he was falling apart, medical complications, divorce, no one to take care of him. Part of me, a very small part, felt something like pity. But the larger part, the part that had been betrayed and broken and rebuilt, that part felt nothing. Scott Thompson had made his choices. Now he was living with the consequences, medical and otherwise. And I would keep saving his life. Because that's what I did. That's who I was. But I wouldn't save him from himself, from his choices, from his karma. That was his job, not mine. When I checked on him the next morning, he was awake, staring at the ceiling again. How are you feeling? Like garbage, physically and emotionally. Well, physically you'll recover. Emotionally, you'll need a different kind of doctor. Madison, Dr. Clark, can I ask you something? What? Do you ever think about what might have been? If we hadn't? No. Never? Never. Because what might have been doesn't matter. What is all that matters. And what is, you're a patient, I'm your doctor. That's our entire relationship now. It doesn't bother you, seeing me like this, broken? It bothers me that you're not following post-operative instructions. It bothers me that you'll probably be back here again if you don't shape up. But does your personal misery bother me? No. That's cold. That's honest. You want me to lie? To pretend I care about your emotional state? I don't. I care about your physical health because I'm a doctor. The rest is irrelevant. I used to know you, the real you, the woman who cared about everything and everyone. She's gone. You helped kill her. What's left is someone stronger, someone better, someone who doesn't waste energy on people who don't deserve it. Ouch. Truth hurts. So does infection, but both are survivable if you deal with them properly. I updated his chart, checked his vitals one more time. Follow instructions, Mr. Thompson, or the next time I see you, it might be too late to save you. I walked out, and I meant every word. Scott was discharged after 5 days. I watched from the nurse's station as Emily helped him to a wheelchair. They weren't touching beyond what was necessary, weren't talking, just two strangers going through motions. I was finishing paperwork when my secretary paged me. Dr. Clark, Mr. Thompson is asking to speak with you before he leaves. I sighed. Tell him I'm busy. He says he'll wait, says it's important. Everything is important to patients. Tell him, Dr. Clark, please, he's been sitting in the lobby for an hour. Just 5 minutes? I looked at the clock. My shift ended in 20 minutes. 5 more minutes with Scott Thompson wouldn't kill me. Might kill him if he said the wrong thing. But that was his risk to take. Fine. Conference room B. 5 minutes. I found him sitting alone in the small conference room we used for family meetings. He stood when I entered, wincing from the pain. Sit down before you rip your stitches again. He sat. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. Make them count. I'm leaving New York, going back to Virginia. Emily and I are officially divorcing. She's staying here. I'm going home to start over. Good for you. That's not why you wanted to see me. No, I wanted to say thank you, and goodbye, and I'm sorry. A real apology, the one I should have given you 6 years ago. I don't need, please, just let me say this. Then I'll leave you alone forever. I looked at my watch. 4 minutes. He took a breath. What I did to you was unforgivable. Not just the cheating, the lying, the years of betrayal, the way I destroyed your ability to trust, the way I made you question yourself. All of it. I know what you did. I was there. I know you don't need my apology. You've made that clear. But I need to give it. I need you to hear that I understand what I destroyed. Not just a marriage, not just a relationship, but a person. I destroyed the Madison I knew. You didn't destroy her. You forced her to evolve into someone harder, colder, into someone stronger, better, someone who doesn't give second chances to people who don't deserve them. And I don't deserve one. I know that. But watching you work these past few weeks, seeing what you've become, I need you to know something. What? You were extraordinary before, when we were married. You were kind and generous and trusting and wonderful. And I threw that away because I was a selfish idiot who didn't appreciate what he had. Finally, something we agree on. But now you're extraordinary in a completely different way. You're brilliant, accomplished, powerful, and yes, harder. But that hardness came from surviving what I did to you. And I'm so sorry I'm the reason you had to become hard. I studied him. He looked sincere, broken, genuinely remorseful, and I felt nothing. Scott, do you know what the difference is between you now and you 6 years ago? I'm smarter, more mature? No. 6 years ago, your apology could have meant something, could have changed things, could have saved our marriage if you'd given it before I found you in bed with Emily. I know, but now it's just words. Nice words, sincere words maybe, but just words, because they can't change anything, can't fix anything, can't undo anything. I understand that. Do you? Do you understand that your guilt, your remorse, your understanding of what you destroyed, none of it matters to me anymore? Because I don't need your validation, don't need your acknowledgement, don't need anything from you. I do understand. That's why this is goodbye. I'm not asking for forgiveness, not asking for another chance, not asking for anything except 5 minutes to tell you that I know I destroyed something precious, and I'm sorry. Okay, you've told me. Your 5 minutes are up. I stood to leave. Madison, Dr. Clark, one more thing. What? I hope you find happiness, real happiness, with someone who deserves you, someone who sees what he has and never takes it for granted, someone better than I ever was. I will, because I have excellent judgment now. I learned from my mistakes. Meaning me. Meaning you. He smiled sadly. At least I taught you something useful. You taught me several things. How to recognize betrayal, how to walk away from toxicity, how to channel pain into purpose. So thank you, Scott, for being such a terrible husband that you forced me to become an extraordinary doctor. That's not how I wanted to contribute to your life, but it's how you did. And honestly, I got the better end of this deal. You got guilt and a failed marriage. I got a medical degree and a career saving lives. You did. I walked to the door, turned back one last time. Scott, I want you to understand something. When I operated on you, both times, I did it because I'm a doctor, because I took an oath, not because I forgave you, not because we're okay now, but because saving lives is who I am. I know, and I want you to live, have a good life, find happiness, figure out how to be a better person, but do it far away from me, because I'm done with you, completely, forever. I understand, and thank you for saving my life, even though I didn't deserve it. Everyone deserves medical care, even people who make terrible choices. That's the whole point of medicine. Is that what I am to you? Just another patient who made bad choices? Yes, that's exactly what you are. I left him sitting there, walked back to my office, grabbed my bag, clocked out. Another shift done, another patient treated, another ghost laid to rest. I walked out of the hospital into the New York evening. The city was alive with lights and noise and possibility. And I was free, completely free, of Scott, of Emily, of my past. Dr. Madison Clark, trauma surgeon, lifesaver, survivor, walking into her future, alone, strong, unbreakable, ready for whatever came next. 6 months after Scott left New York, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Busy, successful, content. I'd been promoted to lead trauma surgeon, youngest in the hospital's history. The board had recognized my work, my dedication, my results. I'd saved lives, lots of them, and each one felt like proof that I'd made the right choice 6 years ago, choosing myself, choosing growth, choosing to become extraordinary. But my colleagues were worried about me. "Madison, you need a life outside this hospital," Dr. James said one day. "I have a life. I save people. I mentor residents. I do research." "That's not a life. That's a career. When was the last time you went on a date?" "I don't date." "Why not?" "Because I don't need to. I'm perfectly happy alone." "Are you? Or are you just scared?" That hit harder than I wanted to admit. "I'm not scared. I'm careful. There's a difference." "Madison, what Scott did to you was terrible, but you can't let that destroy your ability to trust anyone ever again." "I haven't. I trust my colleagues, my friends, myself. I just don't trust romantic partners, and I'm fine with that." "You're 35 years old. Don't you want a partner, kids, a family?" "I have a family. The hospital, the staff, the patients. That's enough." But his words stuck with me. Was I scared? Had I let Scott's betrayal steal more from me than just a marriage? That night, I was grabbing coffee at the hospital cafe when someone bumped into me. Hot coffee splashed on my scrubs. "Oh, God, I'm so sorry." A man's voice, deep, genuinely apologetic. I looked up. He was tall, dark hair, warm brown eyes, wearing orthopedic scrubs. "It's fine. Happens all the time. Here, let me buy you another coffee, and maybe pay for dry cleaning?" "Really, it's fine. I have spare scrubs in my locker." "I'm Dr. Marcus Reed, orthopedics, just transferred here from Boston." "Dr. Madison Clark, trauma." "Oh, you're the Madison Clark? The trauma surgeon everyone talks about?" "People talk about me?" "You're a legend, youngest lead trauma surgeon, incredible save rate. Word travels." I felt myself blushing, actual blushing. When was the last time that happened? "Well, thank you. Welcome to Columbia Presbyterian." "Thanks. Hey, since I ruined your coffee, can I make it up to you? Maybe grab dinner sometime? I'm new to the city and don't know anyone." I'm very busy. Just as colleagues, I promise. No pressure. I just figured it would be nice to have a friend who understands the medical world." Colleagues, friends, not a date. That I could handle. "Okay, sure, dinner, as colleagues." "Perfect. Here's my number. Text me when you're free." He left. I stood there holding a napkin with his number on it, wondering what I'd just agreed to. Dr. James appeared at my elbow. "Did you just agree to go out with Dr. Reed?" "It's not a date, it's a colleague dinner." "Sure it is, and I'm the King of England." "James, Madison, Marcus Reed is a good guy. I know him from a conference. He's brilliant, kind, and from what I hear, very single. Give him a chance." "I'm not looking for a relationship." Maybe that's exactly when you find the right one. I didn't text Marcus for a week. Too busy, too nervous, too scared. But then I had a brutal shift. Lost a patient, a kid, motorcycle accident. Did everything right. Wasn't enough. I was sitting in my office afterward, trying not to cry, when my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Heard you had a rough shift. Coffee? On me. Promise not to spill it this time." I stared at the text. He'd heard about my bad shift? Had asked about me? I texted back, "Coffee would be good." We met at a cafe near the hospital. Not the hospital cafe, somewhere neutral. He was already there, had already ordered for me. "Caramel latte. Heard it's your favorite." "How did you know that?" "I asked around. Hope that's not creepy. It's thorough. We sat, drank coffee, talked about work, about medicine, about why we'd chosen our specialties. I chose orthopedics because I like fixing things, Marcus said. Bones break. I put them back together. It's satisfying, clear. What about trauma? I like the chaos, the urgency, the life or death decisions. It keeps me focused. Focused on what? On not thinking about anything else. What are you trying not to think about? I looked at him. He was genuinely asking, not prying, just interested. Long story, not first coffee material. Fair enough. How about second coffee material? Or third? I'm patient. Why do you care? Because you're interesting, brilliant, and you have this wall around you that makes me wonder what you're protecting. What if I'm just cold? What if there's nothing behind the wall? I don't believe that. I've seen you with patients, with residents. You care deeply. You just hide it well. Maybe I have my reasons. I'm sure you do, and I'd like to hear them. Eventually, when you're ready. We talked for 2 hours about everything except my past, about his childhood in Chicago, his decision to become a doctor, his move to New York. He was easy to talk to, made me laugh, didn't push when I deflected personal questions. When we left, he asked, "Can we do this again? Colleague dinner, colleague coffee?" Maybe, probably, yes. Which one? Yes, we can do this again. He smiled. Good, because I really like talking to you, Dr. Clark. Madison, call me Madison. Madison, I really like talking to you, Madison. Over the next month, we met for coffee 3 more times, then dinner twice, then a walk through Central Park. Each time I found myself looking forward to seeing him, found myself smiling more, laughing more, found myself wondering if maybe, just maybe, I could trust someone again. But I hadn't told him about Scott, about Emily, about my past, and I knew I'd have to, eventually, because this was becoming something real, and I was terrified. 3 months into whatever Marcus and I were doing, dating, I guess, though I refused to call it that, he asked me to meet his parents. They're visiting from Chicago, just dinner, nothing formal. Marcus, I don't think... Madison, we've been seeing each other for 3 months. We have coffee every morning, dinner twice a week. We text constantly. At some point, we need to acknowledge what this is. What is this? You tell me. I looked at him, really looked at him. This kind, patient man who'd somehow broken through walls I'd built 6 years ago. I don't know what this is, but I know I like it. I like you, and that terrifies me. Why? Because the last time I trusted someone, they destroyed me. There it was, the truth I'd been avoiding. Marcus put down his coffee. Tell me, please, whatever happened, I want to know. So I told him, everything. Scott, Emily, the betrayal, the divorce, medical school, the surgery, all of it. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Thank you for telling me. That's it? No questions? No judgment? What would I judge you for? Being betrayed? Surviving? Becoming extraordinary. Some people would say I'm cold, that I turned into someone hard. I think you turned into someone strong. There's a difference. And Madison, what happened to you was terrible, but it doesn't define you. Not anymore. Doesn't it? I became a doctor to prove something to people who don't matter anymore. Maybe you became a doctor for yourself, to prove to yourself that you could survive anything. That's not cold. That's powerful. Marcus, I'm falling for you. I need you to know that. I'm falling for you hard. And I know that scares you, but I'm not Scott. I'm not going to betray you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to show up every day and prove that you can trust me. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll try. Every single day, I'll try. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. What if I can't do this? What if I'm too broken? You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. And I'm willing to wait while you heal, as long as it takes. We met his parents that weekend. They were warm, welcoming, normal. His mother pulled me aside. Marcus talks about you constantly. We've never seen him like this. Like what? Happy. Really, truly happy. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm not doing anything special. You're being yourself. That's special enough. The next week, I got a call from Emily. I almost didn't answer. Madison? Hi. I know you said not to contact you, but I needed to tell you something. What? Scott's getting remarried to someone he met in Virginia. They're expecting a baby. I waited for it to hurt, for jealousy or anger or something. Nothing came. Good for him. I hope it works out. You're not upset? Why would I be? Emily, I have a life, a career, someone new who treats me like I matter. Scott's marriage has nothing to do with me. Someone new? You're dating? That's none of your business. Of course, right. I wanted you to know, in case you heard it from someone else. Thanks, but Emily, this is the last time we speak. I mean it. I've moved on, completely. You need to do the same. I have. I'm in therapy, working on myself. Dating someone too, actually. Someone kind. Good. I genuinely hope you find happiness. Just find it away from me. Understood. Goodbye, Madison. Goodbye, Emily. I hung up, felt nothing but relief that the conversation was over. That evening, I told Marcus about the call. How do you feel about it? Him getting remarried? Relieved. It means he's moved on too. Means that chapter is finally, completely closed. And us? Are you ready to open a new chapter? I looked at him. This man who'd been patient with me, who'd listened without judging, who'd shown me that trust was possible again. Yes, I think I am. Yeah? Yeah. Marcus, I'm not easy. I work insane hours. I have walls. I'm still figuring out how to let people in. I know, and I'm still here. Why? Because underneath all those walls is someone extraordinary, someone worth waiting for, someone worth fighting for. You barely know me. I know enough, and I want to know more, all of it, every wall, every scar, every beautiful, complicated piece of you. I kissed him then, right there in the coffee shop where we'd met, and for the first time in 6 years, I felt something other than professional satisfaction or emotional numbness. I felt hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, the best revenge wasn't just success. It was happiness, real, genuine happiness, the kind that came from healing, from trusting again, from letting someone see all of you and choosing to stay anyway. Scott had taken a lot from me, but he hadn't taken everything. He hadn't taken my ability to love again. That I'd kept, hidden, protected, waiting for someone who deserved it. And maybe, just maybe, I'd found him. 1 year after Marcus and I started dating, I got a letter, handwritten, postmarked from Virginia, from Scott. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. Dear Madison, I don't expect you to respond to this. I just needed you to know something. I'm married now. My wife's name is Rachel. We have a daughter. Her name is Madison. I know that might seem strange, but when Rachel asked why I wanted that name, I told her about you, about how I destroyed something precious, about how you turned that destruction into something extraordinary. I told her you were the strongest person I'd ever known, and I wanted our daughter to have that strength in her name. Rachel knows everything, about the cheating, about Emily, about how I destroyed my first marriage. I promised her I'd never be that person again, and I haven't been. Therapy helped. Facing my mistakes helped. Watching you succeed from a distance helped. You saved my life twice. Once in your ER, once when you showed me what strength looked like, what resilience looked like, what refusing to be defined by pain looked like. I don't expect forgiveness. Don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know that you changed me. Not when we were married, but after, when you became someone I could never reach again. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who deserves you. I hope you've forgiven yourself for trusting me. It was never your fault. Thank you for being the catalyst for my change. even though that was never your job. With respect and gratitude, Scott. I read it twice, felt something close to closure. He'd changed, really changed. Named his daughter after me as a reminder of what strength looked like. That was something. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. Peace. I showed Marcus the letter that evening. How do you feel about this? Okay, good, actually. It means we've all moved on, found better versions of ourselves. Are you going to respond? No, there's nothing to say, but I'm glad he wrote it. Glad he's trying to be better. You're remarkable. You know that? I'm just someone who refused to stay broken. That's what makes you remarkable. 3 months later, Marcus proposed, on the roof of the hospital where we'd met, at sunrise, after a brutal overnight shift. Madison Clark, you're exhausted, covered in someone else's blood, and you still haven't had coffee. But I love you. I love your strength, your walls, your dedication, your refusal to be anything less than extraordinary. Will you marry me? I looked at him, this man who'd seen all of me, the broken parts, the healed parts, the still healing parts, and loved me anyway. Yes, but only if you promise to keep buying me coffee for the rest of our lives. Deal. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, hospital chapel, our colleagues as witnesses. Dr. James officiated. I've known Madison for 8 years, watched her become the best trauma surgeon I've ever worked with. But more importantly, I've watched her remember how to trust, how to love, how to be vulnerable again. That's the real miracle here. At the reception, my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Saw your wedding announcement in the hospital newsletter. Congratulations. You deserve every happiness. Emily. I showed Marcus. Should I respond? Only if you want to. I thought about it, about Emily, about Scott, about all the pain they'd caused, and about all the strength I'd found because of it. I texted back. Thank you. I hope you found your happiness too. Take care. Then I deleted her number. That chapter was closed. Finally. Completely. 5 years later, I was chief of trauma surgery. Marcus was head of orthopedics. We had twin daughters, both stubborn, both brilliant, both showing signs of wanting to be doctors. Just like their mom, Marcus said proudly. God help them, I joked. One evening, I was tucking them into bed when my oldest asked, Mommy, were you always a doctor? No, baby. I became a doctor when I was 30. That's old. It is. Most people start younger, but I started when I was ready. Why weren't you ready before? Because I had to learn some hard lessons first, about who to trust, about my own strength, about not letting pain destroy you. Did someone hurt you? Yes, but I didn't let that hurt define me. I let it strengthen me. You're very strong, Mommy. Thank you, sweetheart. And someday you'll be strong too, in your own way. Will I be a doctor? You can be anything you want, doctor, teacher, astronaut. As long as you're kind and honest and true to yourself, I'll be proud. After they fell asleep, Marcus found me on our balcony. Thinking about the past? A little, thinking about how much has changed. Regrets? None. Everything that happened made me who I am, and I like who I am. I love who you are. I know, and that still amazes me sometimes, that you love all of me, even the parts that are still scared, still careful. Those parts are what make you real, what make you human. I leaned into him. Scott named his daughter Madison. Did I tell you that? You did. How does that make you feel? Proud, I think, that I left an impact, that my strength inspired something good, even in someone who hurt me so badly. That's growth, real growth. It is. And you know what else? What? I'm grateful for all of it, the betrayal, the pain, the struggle, because it brought me here, to this life, to you, to our daughters, to being the person I always needed to be. The best revenge? No. The best revenge was succeeding, becoming a doctor, saving lives. But the best life? That's this, right here, this moment, this family, this love. Dr. Madison Clark Reed, trauma surgeon, lifesaver, wife, mother, survivor. That's me. And you're extraordinary. I know. Took me a while to believe it, but I know. We stood there, looking at the city, at our life, at everything we'd built together. And I thought about young Madison, the one who'd been betrayed, broken, lost. I wished I could tell her, you survive this. More than survive, you thrive. You become someone stronger than you ever imagined. You find love again. You build a life that matters. The pain doesn't last forever, but the strength you gain from it, that lasts. That's the real surgery of regret. Not the one performed in an OR, but the one performed on yourself, cutting away the pain, healing the wounds, becoming whole again. Scott had broken me. Emily had betrayed me. But I'd rebuilt myself into something unbreakable. And that was the greatest revenge of all. Not hurting them, but becoming so extraordinary they could only watch from a distance and regret what they'd lost. Dr. Madison Clark Reed, trauma surgeon, lifesaver, survivor. Living proof that the best revenge is a life well lived. When someone betrays you, you have two choices: stay broken or rebuild stronger. Madison chose stronger. She turned her pain into purpose, her heartbreak into healing, not just for herself, but for countless patients whose lives she saved. The best revenge isn't making those who hurt you suffer. It's becoming so successful, so happy, so fulfilled that they can only stand back and realize what they lost. That's true power. That's real strength. That's the surgery of regret, performed not on them, but on yourself. Cut away the pain, heal the wounds, rebuild stronger, and then live so well that your success is the only revenge you need. That's how you win. That's how you heal. That's how you survive. Now go live your extraordinary life.